Hello, my name is Isaiah O'Connell, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the documentary of the Divine Comedy. Through the video, I'm going to be doing a little summary on exactly what the documentary was. I'm going to be listing what I think the positive points of the documentary were, and some of the negative points. And then at the very end, I'll sum everything up and do my overall assessment of what I think the documentary should be rated. And yeah. The documentary starts off praising Dante Alighieri, kind of just giving a little backstory on his life. I believe that the original poem, Dante's Inferno, or the Divine Comedy, I feel like it's more popularly known as Dante's Inferno. That's what I knew it as, at least. I didn't even know the Divine Comedy was until I watched this documentary, actually. The rest of the documentary goes through the whole story of Dante's Inferno, of the Divine Comedy. So in the story, Dante gets lost in a forest, and his wife, Beatrice, can see him from heaven struggling, so she sends a poet. His name is Virgil. Virgil says that the only way we can get to your wife is if we go through the gates of hell. Also, Dante is trying to find his wife. That's why he was in the forest in the first place, because he was looking for his wife. As Dante and Virgil travel through hell, what they're traveling through is the 9 circles of hell. I won't get into too much of what those are. The first circle is limbo, second is lust, third is gluttony, fourth is greed, fifth is anger, sixth is heresy, seventh is violence, eighth is fraud, and 9 is treachery. But after they get through the 9 circles of hell, they end up getting into heaven, and then Dante finds Beatrice. She's just right there, just waiting for him. If we look at the positive points, I definitely want to think of the interviews. I think that they were a good resource during the documentary to fill in a lot of the holes during the storytelling of Dante's Inferno. I think a second point that is good is just the organization of the video, or of the documentary, telling the story starting from Dante's life before he wrote the Divine Comedy, and then going through the beginning to the end of the entire story. I think all of the art that was done by an artist named Gustave Doré was definitely a positive point in the documentary, just kind of showing or representing what was happening during certain parts of the Divine Comedy. I don't really feel like this documentary had like a ton of big negative points that would have turned me away from it. One of the negative points I would say is that the documentary is definitely slow, especially in the beginning when it's just starting off with Dante's kind of origin story. The real life Dante, not the character. I don't really focus too much on that though, because I feel like documentaries in general, it's definitely always going to be slow, unless you're doing like a crime docuseries. Those are kind of intense. Another negative point that still isn't a huge turning away factor is probably the acting in between. While the narrator is going through the story, little representations of what's happening with like this acting, and it's just kind of corny. Like I said, it's not like it doesn't totally turn me off from the documentary, but definitely a corny part that I feel like is quote unquote like a negative point to the documentary. To sum up, the documentary was good. I mean, it's a documentary. It's exactly what you would expect a documentary to be. I didn't have super like high expectations or anything going into watching it. I was just kind of expecting, honestly, a slow piece of film that talks about one of poetry's greatest achievements. But yeah, I mean, if you're into Dante's Inferno, I would recommend watching it. Um, if you're not into Dante's Inferno, then I wouldn't recommend watching it. But there's not like too much that goes into it that, you know, you would either decide to watch it or you decide not to watch it. I mean, it's exactly what a documentary is.